Ares,
Here.
Here.
Hagel,
Here.
Carter,
Here.
Cowart, Crane, Esri,
Here.
Farney,
Here.
Fava, Furtado, Hanauer Friedman, Lakshin,
Here.
Lakshin,
Oh, here.
Pugh,
Present.
Rodriguez,
Here.
Rogers,
Present.
Settles, Sexton,
Here.
Locke.
Here.
All right, moving on. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Mr. Esri, second by Vantage Theorenaut. Any discussion? All in favor of the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. We have minutes from the December 9th, 2025 regular meeting. Motion by Vantage Theorenaut, second by Sexton. Any discussion of the minutes? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. We have public input. First up, Jason Benda.
Jason Benda, 1529 Lincolnshire Drive. I am a county employee in the facilities department. When I appeared in September before the Finance Committee, I implored that body to exercise caution when moving to eliminate vacant positions. I further stated that the facilities director was not a position whose elimination should be considered and that facilities employees need a department head. Tonight, I appear before the Policy, Personnel, and Appointments Committee regarding the proposal from the county executive to eliminate the facilities director and the building and grounds manager positions. Let me be clear, I do not oppose the proposed structure on paper. I have concerns, and I hope to make those clear as well. In May, during a meeting with then Facilities Director Haney and the HR manager, I told the Facilities Director that he had an impossible job. I stand by that assertion, and I think this proposal shows a recognition of that from the executive. It will certainly be easier to fill these new positions, which each entail less. It is difficult to hire someone who is good at managing projects, as I think the previous Facilities Director was, but who is also good at managing these other responsibilities that this proposal will assign to others. This proposal also addresses a significant issue with the reporting lines within the department. The present structure has the facilities director with one direct report, and that position with about 25. When I was on the part-time faculty at Parkland College, I served on a body charged with streamlining the reporting lines in academic services, where we took a situation where the vice president had 16 direct reports and made it more manageable. I know firsthand from those deliberations how difficult that is, and also how important it is to get it right. I am heartened to know that Executive Summers mentioned this possibility before this body in September, so it is clear that this is in no way a rushed effort. The proposal moves the department head responsibilities for facilities onto the Director of Administration. I don't have a problem with this on its face. It reminds me of when the voters eliminated the elected recorder and placed that department with the clerk as its department head. Did the clerk need to know the minutia of how that office operates? No, there was a deputy in place who could run the department's operations, and he as department head needed to be the person with whom the buck stops. That worked fine, and I think it can work fine here, where the Director of Administration can perform the formal responsibilities of a department head while letting these new subordinates do their job to actually run the department. In that vein, I look at the interview team for when I was hired in my current position. That team consisted of the facilities director, the building and grounds manager, and the lead custodian. The latter two said very little, if anything, in the interview. The department head really ran the interview. That same interview team under the proposed structure would be the Director of Administration, the Custodial and Grounds Manager, and the lead custodian. If the department head is again running that interview, that will be a problem. It needs to be the Custodial and Grounds Manager who's trusted with running that. I do have a concern regarding this change for the Director of Administration. Under the current structure, the Director of Administration has direct reports from 2 individuals and supervises administrative assistants. This proposal increases that to 5 and makes that position a department head over a 25-employee department. I think that there will be a need to rewrite this job description and regrade it, because I do not think its current grade will be sufficient for this increase in responsibilities. I understand that the priority of administration here is to get the structure in place first, replacing grades J and M with J, I, and J in a budget-neutral fashion. but this should be addressed sooner rather than later. I want to again thank the interim facilities director for sending the draft memo to facilities employees last week, 7 hours before it was made public in this room before the facilities committee. That avoided an uncomfortable situation had we been completely blindsided at that meeting. I also understand part of the motivation was to generate internal applicants for these positions. While I appreciate the desire of administration to move quickly and hit the ground running, I am concerned there may be quality candidates who are uncomfortable with applying for a job that doesn't exist, as these do not and will not until at least next Thursday night, pending the action of this board. It also heartens me as a union member to hear some of my colleagues express disinterest in applying for these positions and losing union protections. Another minor concern I've heard raised by a colleague is that some of the wording in the job descriptions, like saying this position may do a task themselves rather than delegate it, could be construed as giving bargaining unit work to non-union positions. Some of the work, such as managing the mail, is currently done by the lead custodian. As that position description is 17 years old and is still called lead custodian Brookins Building, that should probably be reviewed to better reflect reality anyway, regardless of whether this proposal is approved. In closing, we hear every month the Policy, Personnel, and Appointments Chair state that communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated is part of the vision of the board. With that in mind, I have one additional concern that has been shared with me by several of my colleagues. The memo from the executive notes that the vacancy in facilities director position is the impetus for the review and proposed restructuring. The proposal before you eliminates 2 positions. Only one of them is vacant.
Next up, Chris Smith.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Smith. I am currently the Building and Grounds Manager for Champaign County Physical Plant. I have been with the county since 2013, and I have grown quite a bit here. On your agenda tonight, you will be voting for a restructure of the physical plant to eliminate the Building and Grounds Manager and Facility Director position and create 3 new positions. I'm honestly unsure as to why this restructure is necessary unless I have not been performing my job. If that is the case, I have not been informed of this. After looking over the 3 new positions, there are multiple duplications of duties. Some of the facilities director duties have been left unassigned. The amount of people reporting to the director of administration will at least double with this restructure. I'm concerned that we are not going to have the cohesiveness of service for Champaign County residents with this new structure. This is not going to be cost effective. With the current structure, salaries are roughly $209,600 for the director and the building and grounds manager positions. Rough numbers show the expenses for the 3 new positions will be approximately $245,208, and that is not including benefits. We have an amazing maintenance staff and custodial staff. They really do put forth a lot of effort, and I mean a lot of effort, to keep these county buildings running. The restructure was really a surprise to us all, and it has some thinking. I lost my spot. This restructure was really a surprise to us all, and it has some thinking about whether they want to continue with the county. I don't want to lose any of these great people we have. I want to continue providing excellent service and assistance to the residents of Champaign County. Thank you.
Elsie Carter, you're up next. All right, thank you. Carter defers. Benjamin Beaupre, come on down.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Beaupre. You may know me from various other local organizations, but tonight I'm just speaking on my own behalf. At the last county board meeting, it was noted that the reentry council situation, I mean, it's basically gone now. That body, from the days of the Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program that kind of birthed it, had pluses and negatives. I was the citizen representative on that body for years, and you know, in some ways it could be really helpful, in other ways it could be problematic. But I think there's a need there that still needs to be filled. But I don't think we necessarily need to reinvent wheels or apply funds in a time of, basically the federal government's waging openly economic sanctions against us, some sort of hybrid war against us, times are going to get tough. And I think we need to look back to the Racial Justice Task Force recommendations, the overall recommendations for a coordinating council, for justice and social services in general, but also a community engagement oversight commission, something where the county could work with the city of Champaign's own little community coalition. They've tried to build something like this before, where we can make sure the public is aware of all of the great programs that all of us know about, because we go to these meetings, we see the presentations, we meet these people that are doing the hard work on the ground, from mutual aid activists to people working off of grant money to, just make sure people have food, to, like the programs at the juvenile detention center that are just so critical to saving lives. We need to work together so that we can actually know what's all going on, plan ahead, because things are going to get tough. Things are going to get more rough than ever, I'm guessing. And even if they don't, this is something we've needed for years. I mean, the Racial Justice Task Force program is 8-9 years ago now, and there's still this need. People are confused. They want to help, they want to contribute, but they don't know what's all going on. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing for a lot of these programs. We're all in our own different silos in politics, ideology, and social services versus public programs. It's a real mess, and I do this every year, but we really need to look at those original recommendations that so many people put so much work into and really start working together, because if we don't, we're going to hurt so much more. Thank you.
Next up, James Benson.
Okay, sorry. I'll try it again. Good evening. My name is James Benson, and I am the Integrated Care Coordinator for the Champaign County Juvenile Redeploy Initiative. I am also a member of the Redeploy Advisory Board. I'm here to speak about the Redeploy program. I was told that there may be some questions regarding some movements that are being made. One of those being the Redeploy program is looking to change where we're housed at this time. Currently, we are under the umbrella of the Cunningham Children's Home, but we have been looking to move to something that aligns more with what the state has in mind as far as the program model. The program model that we have now is it's a lead provider model, and the state wants to go away from that because the grant has to go to a county unit of government, and when you're under a lead provider model, you have the state and their rules and statutes, but then you have that lead provider. They have rules and regulations and things that govern how they work. And sometimes that can cause sort of a conflict. So one of the reasons why we would like to move is to, number one, streamline the process. We can make our reporting more efficient, as well as our services being executed in a quick, in a fast manner, a quick and efficient manner. We would also like to be agile to respond to our clients' needs. Having fewer layers to go through means that if a client or a family says, hey, this is my need, we can react to it very quickly instead of having to, go through chain of command. And finally, to move so quickly, staff retention. We would like to, our staff that we've been working with, we have a very strong team, and we would like to keep that team together. And some people are looking to perhaps make changes, and we would like to keep it so that we can all stay together. This team that's been working together so great for about 2 years. We have to be very intentional on who we're under. So for instance, court services and things of that nature going under that umbrella could show bias a bias toward the families and the kids that we work with. We want to try to keep as neutral as possible because that's the only way that we can function. We have to be an independent entity. We cannot be affiliated with the police. We can't be affiliated with the state's attorney's office. These are all people that we work with, but we don't want to, for our kids to say, oh, okay, well, you're working for probation or you're working for the state's attorney's office or you're working for this entity. We want to make sure that we can keep an air of neutrality to us. Finally, we just want to continue to provide the services that we're doing. Our focus, my focus, as not only as a person who has been somewhat mostly managing the program for the past couple of years, but also as a board member, is the kids and the youths and the families. That is our main focus. We want to continue to provide excellent programming and excellent service. We want to continue to partner with different organizations in the community, and we would like to do that in the most efficient way possible, all while being good stewards of the money that the state has afforded us. So I thank you for your time, and I will be here. I will make myself available if there's any questions when this comes up on the agenda. Thank you very much. I pushed it.
Last one I have in front of me, so if anyone else here would like to speak, make sure you fill out a slip and get it up here. But the last one in front of me is Marlon Livingston.
Here we go. I promise not to kill any more trees, so this is twice in 2 months. Well, my name is Marlon Livingston. I'm currently the Cunningham I'm president and CEO of Cunningham Children's Home. I've been there almost 20 years now. We are very politically agnostic, so we just don't come to these very often. So I'm apologizing if I'm seeing you twice in 2 consecutive months over the last 20 years. Dear members of the committee, I'm writing to express concern regarding the proposed transition of redeploy services. You might see it on some agendas as CCRI to county government. If you remember, I appeared last month asking the county government to extend transparency and professional courtesy to Cunningham in the planning and vision for the redeploy program. Unfortunately, Cunningham believes the state, which is a party to this, and the county have really missed opportunities to partner in a way that certainly does not represent our core values, which is we just kind of say what it is and are very transparent. A little bit of background on December 9th, 2025. Just last month, Cunningham leadership met with Erica Hughes from the Illinois Department of Human Services and learned the state intends to transfer both direct service delivery and program management of the juvenile redeploy program to a Department of County Government. This decision, which appears to have been in the planning since September, by the way, both with the county and the state, was made without proper notice under our contract with the state, creating potential legal vulnerabilities for the state and other entities. I want to be clear, we're not just hosting the program. Mr. Benson, who just spoke previously, talented colleague, he is a W-2 employee, as well as the 3 other members of the team. So all 4 their offices are on our campus, so I guess technically they're housed there, but there are a program of Cunningham Children's Home. We asked the committee to clarify its vision for the redeploy program, and I was kind enough to see your packet last night or over the weekend. So I got, unfortunately, I got pretty clear, or I guess more clarity on the vision for the first time, actually, over the weekend. While the transition may be described to you as cost neutral, what happens when state funding becomes insufficient? I'm not too sure. You probably got your own budgets to track, but you probably watch the state too, right? And they got a little bit of a $2 billion problem. Cunningham's diverse funding structure ensures continuity of care even when the state and county fiscal challenges arise. County budgets, however, face constraints, potential tax increases. You got a lot of things you're managing. I know the program is being framed as cost neutral, but if that funding is pulled, then who's going to pick it up? Additionally, does the county have the infrastructure and expertise to manage high-risk juveniles? Of course they do. They manage JDC and other high-risk programs. But these programs, as alluded to earlier, these programs are not meant to be correctional in nature. Our current position, we remain committed to serving the juvenile justice population and collaborating with partners. However, clarity is needed on whether clinical services, case management, and family engagement will shift to the county, which apparently later in the agenda, it appears that's the plan. We are prepared to support transferring the program manager role within about 15 to 30 days. We just think what's been created by kind of the backup behind the scenes and a lot of conversation that Cunningham's leadership has been excluded from, it's become not the most healthy environment because there's a lot of uncertainty amongst the team members. They want to know, who am I working for? Cunningham, the county, Cunningham, the county. It's really not fair to that team to be pulled in all these different directions. I will tell you the state has not expressed any performance concerns. I'm not saying there not been any concerns, but not as a cause for terminating the contract. RPC confirmed no issues with the fiscal reporting, and I reiterate the state did not follow its contractual obligation requirements for termination of the grant by proper notifying Cunningham Children's Home. I'd also note that Cunningham Children's Home, when we wanted to bring the redeploy program to the county, we did that in collaboration with the community. It was never the vision necessarily that we run the program anyway. Dream, if you might recall, Dream had stepped up and was that administrative component of it. They stepped away, they took another direction, and we've only been running the program for 6 months. 3 months of that have been apparently.
I just want to let you know you have 30 seconds remaining, okay?
3 months of that apparently has been working to get it moved. Next steps, to ensure transparency, our advocacy going forward may include media engagement, outreach to the county board, and other legal remedies. Our priority is preserving the integrity of the direct delivery service and continuity of care we serve. If in fact the grant coordination needs to move to the county, we would not object to that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Seeing no further slips, I close public input. Communications from the board. Ms. Rogers.
I have a communication that I received from our coroner. January 25th through January 31st of 2026 is Medical Legal Death Investigation Professionals Week. On January 29th of 1637, the first coroner was appointed, marking Thomas Baldridge appointment at the first coroner to the United States of America. So happy Coroners Week.
Any further board communications? Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, board. So exciting to be with you tonight. Hey, this is like, just want to do a shout out. Maybe we saw this in the front page of the paper the other day, and it's this article. Fantastic article. No matter what, the flag would never touch the ground. And after 20 years of service, post 559 Color Guard is retiring after 20 years. And I've met every single one on this picture, and I've enjoyed spending time with them over the last couple of years, being part of the being part of the Veterans Liaison. I just thought, just to give a public county board appreciation for 20 years, when you think about this. So on here is Robbie Walker and Commander Jay Jackson, Clarence Davis, Milton Thomas, and Richard Button Bay. And I was thinking 20 years, they've done 20 years of Veteran Memorial Day services at the Mount Hope Cemetery. I was there last year. It was a fantastic service. They've been taking care of the memorial right across the street here. And 20 years of Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, which I've gone for the last 3 years. And was honored to be the keynote speaker at the Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. And then I've been to the Post 559 a couple times. And also, Post 559, and I'm learning this probably as you are, that each post has a name that person that they're honoring. This individual is William F. Ernst. And he was the first casualty from Champaign in World War I. So that post has been serving the community for over 100 years. He was an African-American soldier from the 370th Infantry Regiment, an all-black unit, and a University of Illinois student athlete before enlisting, and he was killed in 1918, just not much long after the war started. So anyway, just a big shout out for them, and just appreciate their 20 years of dedication, no remuneration, all volunteer service for the veterans in our community.
Any further communications from the board? All right, moving on. I'm going to hand this off to Policy, Personnel, and Appointments Chair Vanich Thierenup.
Thank you, Chair Locke. The monthly HR report for December of 2025 can be found on page 7 of your packet. We have several appointments or reappointments coming up. Uh, 1213, we have the reappointment for Dennis Butler to the Pesotum Slough Special Drainage District, unexpired term ending 8/31/2028. Desiree? Discussion? What? Yeah. I thought you had discussion. Oh, okay. Sorry. All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appointing Doug Bennett to the Sangamon and Drummer Drainage District, unexpired term ending 8/31/2028. Can I have a motion? Jeff? I'm sorry, John. And Ezra again, thank you. Discussion. You want a second, Scott?
I can hardly hear you. Maybe you speak a little louder, even though you're on a mic.
Sure.
Challenges.
So I have Mr. Farney and Mr. Wilson, if Mr. Ezra is okay with that. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Appointing Jamila Rogers to the County Board Liaison on the Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Committee. Can I have a motion? Ms. Lokshin, second. Mr. Sullard, any discussion? Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Ms. Rogers, for stepping up to do this.
Seeing no more discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Appointing Ed Sexton as the County Board Liaison to the Champaign-Urbana Urbanized Area Transportation Study Policy Committee. I have a motion from Chair Locke and a second from Mr. Thorsland. I know there's somebody else down there, but I can't see who it was. Any discussion?
I do.
Sure.
Okay, so previously, Kuwat's rules required that the board chair sit on this committee. Our system of government has changed. We have a county executive now, and liaison appointments belong to the county executive. Kuwat's has not yet updated their bylaws, but I believe that's on their agenda to fix at the next meeting. So under their rules, it needs to be me, and I can assign a proxy. However, under our system of government, it has to be Steve making this appointment.
Gotcha.
Either way, I moved it, so it works either way, right?
All righty. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have our annual listing of expiring appointments on page 18 to 19. Currently, vacant appointments are available on the county website. We have the fee reports for the county clerk from December 2025 and a semi-annual report from July through December of 2025 on page 2021. And we have a resolution from the county executive to create a building and grounds safety committee. Can I get a motion? Mr. Barney? Second, Mr. Wilson. Discussion.
Just a quick question, Stephen. What was the driver for this committee? What's the history behind this?
I would say the driver is the opportunity of moving into this building just gave us a chance to reevaluate our safety and security protocols and processes. And we determined that there's a lot more training that we could be providing, and we want to make sure that it's appropriate training. So we really want to have the employees leading the conversation as to what do we need to be considering when it comes to building safety and security? What do we need to be training on? What things are concerning them? What are their interests? So that's how we got here.
One more follow-up, please. Thank you for being proactive. Was there been any express concerns from some employees related to safety and security, or is this, how did we get here? It's more than just, I think you're just being proactive, or were there previous addressed concerns, thoughts, feelings?
I mean, I think we're a public building, so we always have people who come into the building because they don't necessarily have somewhere else for them to be, and maybe aren't always, polite about that. So I think that there's just always room for us to have training for the staff on de-escalation, identifying a concern, what to do if they identify a concern, all of those things, because we are a public building. We're going to have a lot of people in our buildings, and being more centrally located in downtown Urbana, I think has increased our general foot traffic from what we saw at Brookins.
In other words, no one's expressed a concern, or that you're just being proactive?
Yeah.
All right, seeing no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we are amending the schedule of authorized positions to the coroner's office, autopsy technician and pathologist on page 24 of your packet. Ms. Rogers. Is that a motion? Thank you. Okay. Mr. Sullard? Any discussion? Nope. Sorry, Ms. Locke.
I just want to point out our coroner is here for questions, and if she would like to come give a brief presentation, she may, or if she wants to wait for questions, she may. Do you want to come up, Lori? No, you don't. Come on up anyway, because we're going to have questions for you.
Thank you. I was contacted by a pathologist, which is what prompted this to get us started on the process. Questions?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right, I'll get the ball rolling, because I know you hate talking in front of us, so I'll get this ball rolling. What we've previously had a pathologist who was a contract. What was the motivation for us authorizing a position for it to be an employee?
The lack of pathologists versus the positions that they need them has prompted nationwide this process to start, where they're offering something to the pathologist to incentivize them to come, and benefits is one of the big ones.
So this gives us flexibility where we could still hire someone as a contract, or we could hire somebody as an employee, but having this position authorized gives us the flexibility to kind of meet the candidate where the candidate wants to be.
Correct, yes.
And the work would be the same regardless.
Yes.
Okay. And since the autopsy technician is on the same bit, we would need the autopsy technician to go along with a pathologist, right? There's no way
Yes.
we could do it without having one.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no more questions, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we have another amending of the schedule of authorized positions in the Juvenile Detention Center for the PREA Coordinator. May I have a motion? Ms. Lokshin, seconded by Mr. Esri. Discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Farney.
Just want to remind you, this is a position that we did fund in the 2026 budget as it is going to be required by the state moving forward.
Thank you for that. Ms. Loction.
And if I remember correctly, in the budget process, I believe most of this is covered by the state, was it? With the funding for this position?
That would be a question for Shannon. There's certain positions that are covered and some that are not.
I believe it's in the memo, sorry, I believe it's in the memo that it is a reimbursable position, so we'd be on the hook for the benefits.
Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it does say right here in the memo, fringe benefits are on us, right? Yeah. Is there someone already slated for this? Is there a posting already, or where are we in that process?
Ms. Locke.
Going back to our budget discussions from some months ago, Shannon had identified an employee who would be the best person to do this. And so I believe that this is just a matter of updating the organizational chart at this point. I think she's identified who it would be. It's going to be reimbursed. We just needed to update the available positions.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Whoops. Amending the schedule of authorized positions in the Administrative Services Department for Grant Coordinator and Grant Reporting Clerk. Can I have a motion? Mr. Thorsland, can I have a second? Mr. Sollard. Any discussion? Sollard? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson had his hand raised.
Oh, you had your hand up?
Yeah, it's probably just a nit. I mean, we're approving this, which means the associated job descriptions go along with it, which I forgot to catch the corner on this one, but is it a grant coordinator or grants plural coordinator? Or does it matter?
I don't believe it's relevant, but I believe it is singular.
This is just 31.
Oh, the second one. Yeah, we're not at 4 yet. We'll discuss that when we hit 4. Oh, we are at 4.
Just do prayer coordinator? We haven't voted on it yet.
I'm on
Yeah, we did.
page
Just voted on paper.
32, 33, 34. And, yeah, those 2 pages. It's just an observation on the title.
Oh, it has an S in the org chart and gotcha. I would probably go with the title of the,
What is the official title?
Singular, the singular
I was
one.
gonna say, as soon as,
Official
yeah.
title.
The other one is also singular. I think we're good. So no S. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed. Amending the schedule of authorized positions in the Administrative Services Department, Program Director, Therapist, Case Manager, and Family Engagement Specialist. Can I have a motion? Ms. Lockton, can I have a second? Nope. Mr. Farney, discussion.
We talked about this in caucus, and then I also spoke with Ms. Jett before the meeting started. And I'm going to move to table this to next week's full board meeting to allow some time for the stakeholders to have a discussion about it.
We have a motion to table until the county board. I have a second from Mr. Farney. Discussion about moving to table.
I guess I would like to know from Julia if a week is enough time from the stakeholders to coordinate.
Okay.
No. A week is not enough time, sorry.
All right.
I've got to get judges and all kinds of people, some people who are here who didn't know we were going to try to have these discussions.
Minister Farney?
Do you have any concern if the state were to act on what they're talking about, wanting, that the state is saying they want to move this? Do you have any concern that there would be interruption in services to the juveniles if there's this issue and we as a board have to wait, it's six weeks till our February full board meeting? Would that be a problem if something happened in the immediate future? I guess I'm basically asking you, how much time do you think we have? Or is it going to cause a major upheaval if we haven't set things in motion to fill these spots?
Okay, I'm going to go back to my history lesson. So years ago, redeploy funding is funding from the state that is intended to reduce incarceration by providing additional opportunities for community-based services. There is adult redeploy and there is juvenile redeploy funding. For years, Champaign County has refused to consider accepting juvenile or adult redeploy funding because the judiciary, the previous judiciary, was concerned that it would impede on their ability to make decisions when it came to sentencing, because there are provisions in the redeploy funding requirements that require that you reduce your incarceration rates by a certain percentage, or else you're supposed to pay the money back. And so the judges felt that they would have to make decisions based on whether or not money would have to be paid back. No county, no circuit has ever had to pay any money back. The programs have always worked with them to try to resolve the issues. They assured us of that, but still the judiciary was absolutely in opposition to considering it. Years passed, things changed. On the adult side, we were able to encourage Judge Rosenbaum to accept adult redeploy funding to fund drug court only. I personally think adult redeploy funding could be used to expand beyond just drug court, and that is something I have suggested time and time again. But at this point, it just funds drug court. On the juvenile side, Sam Smith, who is a community member and was working with various juvenile justice organizations, convened a series of meetings with stakeholders, including myself, Ms. Pollack, Shannon Siders, Pat Egge from Cunningham Children's Home, Tracy Dace, a number of other people, to talk about what it would look like if we were able to get juvenile redeploy funding and how we would use it, and what would the program look like. And we created a program, and Pat Egge from Cunningham Children's Home and Tracy Dace volunteered to run these programs. We were able to sit down with the judiciary and convince them to give it a try, and RPC was the fiscal agent, so the money flows through RPC, and then we have a contract with Cunningham Children's Home. We did with Dream for whatever reason that I'm not entirely aware of. They dropped out at some point, and so basically the program is run through Cunningham Children's Home. I frankly was not aware of the extent of the issues that appear to have been raised in public participation and in discussions in which I have not been a part of. Neither has Judge Beckett, who is the judge who handles juvenile delinquency cases, or Judge Rosenbaum. I don't think that Ms. Pollack has been, but she's here. You can ask her yourself. But we were somewhat surprised by the announcement that this was all going to go under the executive's office. We did have a meeting earlier this week, or last week, in my office to discuss this and express our concerns. I believe the judiciary is considering whether they would want to take this program on and perhaps also kind of meld it with the adult redeploy and have a redeploy coordinator that works in the judiciary. I think that is appropriate. There are many counties where these programs are run through court services. I see nothing that says you can't do it in court services. I don't see anything that says you can't do it through the state's attorney's office, and if I had the staffing, maybe I would do it. But in any case, I am very concerned about rushing into something without really having discussed this with the stakeholders and the people who created these programs, and to make sure that we leave things on a good note with our partners who volunteered to start this program. I do want to make sure that the staff who run the program and who are fantastic and without whom we would not be able to do this are satisfied and are compensated appropriately and are treated appropriately. That is absolutely important to the future of this program. But I think things need to slow down. I also have concerns, frankly, as to the statutory authority for the executive's office to run programming. My read of the statute says, other duties as the board decides. You're the board. So my advice, my recommendation, my request is that we slow down, let the stakeholders have some discussions, let the judiciary, my office, Ms. Pollack, court services, the service providers sit down and talk amongst ourselves so that maybe we can come forward with a plan that will work for all of us. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Farney, do you have a follow-up? No? Okay. Ms. Carter?
Was this a suggestion through the executive's office? And my second question, is this something feasible through the public defender's office?
I don't know that it's really feasible through the public defender's office to run programming to support their clients. It's not really right for it to be through my office either.
We don't have any room.
Well,
we have no room in our offices at all. I've got people in temporary cubicles right now. What I will say is that the work that Juvenile Redeploy does with our clients is exceptional. I have heard nothing but wonderful things about James and everybody else that works for the program. I want to do everything we can possibly do to keep this program and keep this funding. My understanding is that there is some state involvement here that has nothing to do with us, nothing to do with the executive, nothing to do with the board or the people that run the program. And so I don't disagree that there can be further discussions had about how to best work it, but I think that we all need to get together and figure out how we keep this program, and that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullard, and then Mr. Thorsland, and then Brett.
The question we're asking, I have a motion to table it to next week, and Mr. Farney's question was, if we push it out to February, will something fall apart?
You know, as lawyers, we never should promise anything. But here's what I can tell you. For years, the state has been begging us to take this money. I find it really hard to believe that they're all of a sudden going to stop funding, and we have contracts. So I will make it a priority tomorrow to contact the redeploy folks on the state end, but it would absolutely blow my mind after all the years of trying to get this money that they would all of a sudden say, we don't like Cunningham Children's Home for reasons I'm not sure, so we're not going to give you the money that we contracted with you to have.
I think maybe the other side of it, I agree that I don't think the state is going to cut our funding. I think another thing that I have heard is that we are at risk of losing some of our providers who are currently working in the program. And as Mr. Benson said in the public comment, he wants to keep them together. And I have had nothing but great experiences with that team. So I think that maybe we can huddle. I would suggest tabling it and then placing it on the agenda, not next week, but in February. And I hope that that will give us enough time to keep it together. And I would ask everybody who's involved in the program to just hold on a minute so that we can all talk to each other and figure this out. Because again, the priority is the clients and the people that are benefiting from this grant. And if James and his team are not together, those benefits are going to not be given to them. So I think we need to huddle.
I had two follow-ups, if I could, that's on that question to get my answer. Sure. First, I guess this question is going to be for Marlon, if you know how much time's left on your contract.
It is a non-compete contract that goes through June. And since you asked the question, we are absolutely committed to working with the state and the partners. We don't just duck and run. That is not about who we are. Our number one priority is continuity of care. And that means if there's a process of transition, okay. But we have to do it in a planful, methodical way, not out of nowhere with discussions that have been occurring 3 months before I even knew it. So again, as in my testimony, I said, if we are willing to work with our partners, let's just take a breath so we can do this in a planful way. I can commit and promise you, we are not going to dump and run on this program until we can hand it. If it's the will of the county and the state to do this a different way, we will not dump and run on the kids and the families. We've been here 130 years. We don't do that.
My final question, was it James that was public comment? Yes. Could you come up to the mic too? So we're talking about, my motion is to table our vote for the county to next week, and there's been asks that we extend it to next month to one of our meetings then. From your side of it, we're talking about wanting to keep the team together and questions about our folks maybe trying to leave sooner than later. In your view, do you think folks would stay together long enough for us to have these discussions between now and next month if we amend this motion to table to next month instead of next week?
I cannot guarantee that. There seems to be, and I have the utmost respect for Julia and everyone else, but there's a lot of talk about the state's going to talk, or we're going to talk to this person and that person, but there's been very little talk of speaking to the staff, to people who have been the boots on the ground doing the work. And that is part of the reason why we don't feel that it's working with Cunningham, is that we are doing the work and leadership is dictating how we do things. Now, as far as I've been doing my best to keep these things together. That meeting we had in December was not the greatest, but there was really no other way. We just wanted to get the discussion going. We said it was the first meeting, not the last meeting. Things have gotten bad. Things have gotten a little out of hand. As you heard Marlon speak about the program management going away 15 days or whatever, that's me. That's me. So I cannot guarantee I will work my hardest. The reason we are still doing the work we're doing is because it is that important. It's difficult for me to go to work every single day, knowing that things are going on, that conversations are being had, that my name is coming up in different meetings, that meetings are being had, and they're talking about pieces of a program that I love and I have been with since the beginning. They're talking about pieces of a program, but not including me in these discussions. So, you had your moment. So all I'm saying is that I am going to try my hardest to keep our team together, but it is getting very difficult. We do not want to interrupt services for these youth, and I will speak with the team tomorrow to let them know that if it's tabled, nobody's giving up on us, right? You're just saying that there needs to be more time to discuss, and I understand that. But I cannot guarantee any of that. I will do the very best that I can to stay as long as I can. The rest of the staff will do the best that we can, but we want to make sure that our voices are heard. We're not in boardrooms. We're boots on the ground. We are in the trenches with these kids doing it every single day. And unfortunately, it just seems that no one really cared until after we said we're ready to go. It feels like a relationship where things aren't going the greatest and somebody's like, hey, I'm about to go. And they're like, okay, well, let me make all these changes that we've been talking about. That's how it feels. That's how it feels to myself. That's how it feels to my staff.
Mr. Thorsland and Mr. Pugh.
Matt touched on most of it. Most importantly, I wanted Mr. Farney's question to be re-asked and have somebody answer it, and we got some answers on that. I would, if we can give these folks as much time as possible, and that's somewhat a discussion among them too, then I would like to give them as much time, as long as we're not in danger of losing the program. And I really hope we're not in danger of losing the people. So I would love to see the team stay together.
Mr. Pugh?
I think it's germane that we have a call with the state.
Sir, we have a board member who's been called on.
We need you to be at the mic so that it can go over the,
We do have a call. There's not been, I've only had one conversation with the state. That's all. They've provided the courtesy. They've canceled 3 calls. We have a call tomorrow morning. It's the first stakeholder call. We have RPC, James, program leadership, the state. So I do think we will have an opportunity tomorrow. I believe it's at 10 a.m.
Yes, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. tomorrow to get some clarity about what direction the state wants to go. I've only had one call on December 9th with the state. That's it. There's not been all this back thing, so.
Point
of order, I'm interested in board members asking questions, but not a back and forth. I don't see that being productive.
Mr. Pugh?
Thank you. No, my question was just like how much time it might be needed. Excuse me. And it sounded like a month might be appropriate for most people. So I was going to go with that. Thank you.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you. I'm trying to wrap my mind around why this is controversial. We are just approving the positions, right? We are not funding them. There are other decisions to be made. We've also determined that no other department is able to host this kind of work. We've heard the state's attorney's office. We've heard the public defender's office. Unless I'm hearing some other option,
the
coroner's office.
The courts can run this program. Probation can run this program. There are lots of from my office or the public defender's office to run a program would be potentially a conflict of interest, but there are plenty, this is state funding that goes across the state. I can hand you out a list of how all the other counties run these programs. They are all purchase of service programs that are run through various parts of counties. Just all I am asking is that we slow down and let us have these conversations, of which I was completely unaware of all of these issues. I don't have any emails. I don't have any phone calls.
Okay.
I don't have anybody saying, Julia, we need to sit down and talk about
The
this.
question ahead of us is a week.
It's
That's
still,
where we're at, right?
it's still my turn.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm interested in a week, if nothing else. Again, I don't quite understand why. And we've heard now a live stream of what the problem is. We've also heard that the state is getting involved.
Who
To me,
from the
this is a
state is,
no-brainer.
I don't know who the state is.
Julia, let me finish.
Again, because you haven't told me, James. I'm extraordinarily.
Order.
Yeah.
Point of order, Ms. Reitz.
You're out of order.
We are hearing from staffers who are employed, like who do this work, what the problem is. To me, I'm interested in acting on this soon. This is not a surprise to us. It was on last month's agenda.
I'm sorry that I was not here for last month. I had some things going on.
Mr. Wilson, did you have your hand up?
So the motion on the table is to wait another week, I believe. And I, in good conscience, can't understand why a week is even remotely adequate to reconsider this. And I don't believe that all us as board members know the underlying issues that are happening among the staff. It's not been transparent to us, or any other discussions have not been transparent to the membership here. And it does make sense to me that it does take time to vet out, does it really belong anywhere than it already is right now? And it's only had a short runtime of 6 months. I don't see the program falling apart. In my opinion, it may be personalities or opinions on how the program should be run, but to have a wholesale organizational change in a
Okay,
week's
point of order.
time
This is not about an organizational change. This is about creating positions that are not filling.
Yes.
They're not being moved. It is preparing.
Great, so I would prefer Mr. Solar to amend his request either a month or 2 months out rather than 1 week. Otherwise, I'll just vote no for that amendment.
Ms. Lokshin?
I think you basically covered what I was going to ask, and I really wanted Mr. Benson's perspective on this as well, because I think the key is preserving the staff who are doing the work. If you're comfortable with a week, I'm comfortable saying that we can make this a priority on our end. I know there are a lot of stakeholders, but I feel like they should be working on trying to find some sort of answer for you at least within a week. And again, this is just creating positions. This is not us saying we're moving budget money. We're doing, this is just to make sure there is a space where Mr. Benson can continue doing his work. So I would support a week.
So, a week would essentially kind of give us hope that things haven't stopped. And at this point, we've been floating on hope for about a month now, or more than that, but.
Mr. Solar, and then Ms. Rogers.
To Mr. Wilson's question, I'm not going to amend my motion at this time. I've heard from everyone on their responses, and I think that first of all, has been pointed out, this is creating a net should everything fall on our end. It's not funding anything new at this time. It's a net. Secondly, which I think is responsible on our end to do so that the services don't fall apart completely. Secondly, I do think it's important that we're taking care of the employees as well who are on the ground. If it helps for a week, or I guess it's like a week and a couple of days, if that's more hopeful, I think that's the appropriate route to take. And I agree with Ms. Lokshin that the stakeholders need to find time to make this a priority in the next week. I know that there's a meeting. That's why getting past tomorrow was important to have that initial next discussion. But it's important to me that we're considering the employees and the safety net responsibilities we have on our side as well. So I'm going to keep my motion that we table it to next week.
Ms. Rogers? Okay. Mr. Ezra?
Just one quick point, I guess I'd like to make. Everything I've been told, this has absolutely nothing to do with the boots on the ground, with you and the people you work with directly, James. This is not because you've failed in any way. At least that's what I've heard. It's all top driven and from the state is the way I understand it. So I would like to at least make that point that, again, it's my understanding it is absolutely nothing with the boots on the ground and how the money is being used, the programs are being worked and deployed, however you want to put it.
Ms. Carter?
One thing that I dislike about this county is that we are always supportive when it comes to the state's attorney's office and the sheriff's department. But then programs like this that should be embedded into our budget, right? It's always, oh, maybe, no, we can't. I hate that, because a person has committed a crime in Champaign County, they should have an opportunity for rehabilitation. And it's like, it's a maybe when it comes here, the public defender's office, understaffed. Oh, okay, but we're doing everything else but attending to her office. And then now we see programs coming before the board asking for assistance because they are trying to rehabilitate these individuals. And it's like, oh, maybe, or why is there conversation happening involving him and he's not included in the conversation? I mean, that's not right. We need to bridge these lines of communication if we're going to work together. I would love to see this program continue. It's very much needed in this community. There is a lot of juvenile in this community that are committing crimes, and they need another or a better way. And programs like this help our juveniles see a better way in life. So I hope those discussions and conversations are happening. I hope you are included.
Can I speak on that? Yeah. So there was a meeting that was supposed to happen last Monday that was scheduled, but it was indeed canceled, but it was canceled because I was not involved, and the state did not want to move forward with any meetings regarding the redeploy program without me being involved. That meeting was set up by Cunningham Children's Home. And then the second meeting was canceled because one of the people at the state, her husband had to have emergency surgery. So that's why the second meeting was canceled. So it wasn't because people don't care, it was because of that surgery, and then also because I was being left out of the loop in the first meeting.
And I understand the point of having your independency. I think that is very important.
Sure.
Thank you.
Briefly.
This has nothing to do with my office or whether or not my office is supportive of these programs, but my office and myself are absolutely supportive of these programs. I helped create this program. Okay, so can we please stop talking about whether the state's attorney's office or the public defender's office or anyone is supportive of the continuation of this program? That is not the question, all right? The question and the ask that I am making is to allow the stakeholders, myself, Ms. Pollack, Ms. Siders, Judge Beckett, Judge Rosenbaum, none of us have been involved in these discussions, these meetings that have been planned. None of us have been included, invited, involved in these discussions until we were told by the executive's office that we're going to take this program over. We would like to sit down and discuss this with Cunningham Children's Home, with the juvenile redeploy folks who I have worked with for years, with James and his people. And I'm sorry, but those of you who are in business, who have jobs, who understand this, might understand and appreciate that it might be really difficult for me to get all those people together in one room in less than a week when something has just been dumped on us. So, with all due respect to Mr. Sullard and his wish to get this moving, I think at the university, things move a lot slower than this. So I would ask that you all give the stakeholders who care about this program the time to have a conversation or two. Because again, as I told you, my biggest concern is that it is not the job of the executive's office to run programs. So that's what you're talking about here. And that's what we need to sit down and discuss. And I can't promise you that I can get all those people together in a room before your next board meeting.
Ms. Lockshin, and then Ms. Locke, and then I'm gonna.
Just one very quick question. If we are delaying this a week to make the move to set up the structure, that doesn't mean that we can't at some point restructure and move this into a place that works for everybody. I feel like we're losing sight of what we're voting on here. We're just trying to say we have this available. These positions are available in this space if they need to be moved. Again, this is coming from on high. This is not something that we've all had a lot of time to work with, but I think in order to make sure that the program continues, we can vote to readdress this in a week without saying this is forever. and there will be more time to try and make a more settled place for this work.
Ms. Locke?
I'm going to be voting for Mr. Sellard's motion to table it to next week, but if in the extreme likelihood we can't get the stakeholders together, I will personally make a motion to table it to next month. So view next week as a status hearing, Ms. Reitz. If you somehow magically get everyone together, then we'll have a full, robust discussion. If not, I'll be the first one moving to table, and I see Mr. Farney shaking his head yes that he'll second, because we can't in good conscience create positions for a program that isn't ours. This is just something that RPC is the governmental agency, and it flows through there. And the state contacted us, but the stakeholders don't know about it. And it's only our problem because we're going to make it our problem. We have a lot of problems. Let's deal with our own problems first. But let's give them till next week to figure it out.
All right. The motion on the floor currently is to postpone approving amending the schedule of authorized positions for the Administrative Services Department of Program Director, Therapist, Case Manager, and Family Management Specialist 1 week from, well, about 9 days technically, to the full board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
I had like 3 nays. The motion passes. And finally, we have amending the schedule of authorized positions in the physical plant and administrative services departments for maintenance manager, custodial and grounds manager, and facilities project manager positions. Can I have a motion? Ms. Lockshin, can I have a second? Mr. Farney, discussion. Ms. Rogers.
I would like to hear from the executive's office about why you guys believe this is necessary.
So the main thing where I'm trying to address is that the current buildings and grounds position has an immense amount of responsibility that is not only administrative, but also hands-on work that does not seem like a reasonable amount of work for one position to have. So by dividing it into 3, we're trying to be able to provide more focus and more ability to dive into each specific area, so that the maintenance manager would be focusing on the maintenance team, the grounds and custodian manager would focus on the grounds and custodian team, and then the facilities project manager would focus on our large capital projects or other major improvements or replacements that we're doing. Whereas of right now, all of that is wrapped into one position.
Mr. Pugh.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to read because it's easier for me to read than think on the feet. I'm kind of unimpressed with the details included in the packet and the statements with no documentation that 3 people can be hired at the cost of 2. What about health insurance, pension, and other benefits? Or that the facilities project manager can be funded out of a decreased contracts with architects and engineers, both highly skilled fields that this person would not be able to replace. I would like to see a more detailed and thought-out plan with documentation about existing comparative jobs to the facilities project manager in other counties. I'm afraid it's like the Brookings person they wanted to hire, you got Nami, who was going to be able to manage rental space and fix maintenance issues. It's easy to write a job description, but how realistic is it they'll find someone who can actually do all these things for the money they offer? Please show me a similar position elsewhere in county government.
Ms. Furtado.
So I know I talk about this all the time, and you're probably sick of hearing it. I used to work for the Parks Department in the city of Indianapolis, which is also a consolidated county. So the county is the city, and the city is the county. And when I first came here, I'm just going to be real blunt, and I was the grants person. So I worked with I worked really, really closely on all sorts of capital projects. Everything from putting the bid packets together all the way out to doing the punch list at the end of projects. And when I first came here and I saw the structure of our county government, there were all sorts of things that I thought were super weird. The fact that we didn't have a functioning HR department, the fact that we didn't have a grants coordinator, just things that like functioning governments have. And I was like, okay, this is a weird county. One of the things I thought was the weirdest was the fact that our facility, that the custodial staff and the capital project staff are the same thing. That's just not normal. They're totally, I applaud the people that have been trying to do all of this work. The structure that it's, you know, that there's one director and then one person under them, and they're supposed to be responsible from everything to make sure our buildings are clean to overseeing capital projects, I think is categorically insane. I think that this restructuring, and, you know, we could kind of get into the details if you want to, is long overdue, but those are two totally different functions. And absolutely, if you have somebody in place that does capital projects, it will absolutely reduce the amount of money that you need for the contractual services we do overseeing those capital projects, because that's that person's skill set. In the job that I had before, all sorts of little projects were managed by that person, and it was only the big ticket items that we brought in A&E services for, right? And so you know, we could, if you want to discuss the details and how things are broken down, I think that's fine. But in terms of specifically separating out those duties, it's just logical and long overdue. And I think would make it more reasonable for our staff on the ground to have a reporting structure that makes some sort of sense, and enable us to retain staff, because there'd be an opportunity for them to like build careers and pathways in areas that are just actually really different. I think collapsing facilities and services in the way that we have in this county has been a detriment to the county and to the constituents that we serve, including our internal clients. Because at the end of the day, if you have one person overseeing capital and maintenance, what is always going to suffer is maintenance, because capital is deadline driven. And if you have only so many hours in a day in order to do something, you're going to prioritize that. And what I would think is that day-to-day maintenance would become less of a priority in a structure that collapses all of that into one thing.
Ms. Carter.
You know, I'm just going to be honest. The way that the administrative staff and the executive office have acted this last year, I just don't feel comfortable adding another task to their plate. I mean, sometimes I just think that y'all sit down and think about, oh, let's see how we can mess this up, because none of this is benefiting the county. All that we went through all last year, where's the positive results? We don't have any. And then it's like you're bumping the next guy in line, which would be Mr. Chris Smith. Would he be first on your list as far as filling these positions, or do you have somebody in mind already? You know, I just don't think that right now where I'm at with the county executive's office, they need to keep their hands off of a lot of things. Understood, maybe the breakdown could be a little bit cleaner, but putting everything up under the county administrative department, I just do not think that's a good idea at all. I don't think they're capable, and I don't think that they have a proven record of good performance in what they've done already. So that's where I'm at on that. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. I was actually fairly convinced that this is the right way to go, and I understand the logic from our other member about functioning government. until public comment from members of the organization. And maybe this is, they're outliers. I don't know that because I haven't actually spent time in the department to ask each individual what their feelings, wants, desires, aspirations are. It seems to be some discontent expressed during public comment. And I guess my one question, I still have a couple, but one question is, how much discussion has the executive branch had with the employees, and why during public comment we have a couple that are expressing a lot of angst about this arrangement?
So we were upfront from July that part of the reason we didn't fill the position was to evaluate for restructuring. So we've been saying that for well over 6 months. We have told the staff repeatedly that we were expecting to have a recommendation after the new year, which we have. I've sent it out to them. I sent it to them as draft form. I sent it to them as final version. So I think that to the degree that we're talking about personnel structure, we have informed the staff as much as we ethically can. I've received a lot of feedback from staff over the last 6-7 months. They've given me their suggestions, their input, and I've used that to form what I've proposed today. So I think that in terms of staff engagement, again, based on the consideration that this is about personnel jobs, and those are always just very sensitive to discuss, we've been as open and transparent, as communicative as we can. And as for the second part to your question, I'm not going to speak about the motivations of other people. So,
Mr. Wilson.
I agree with Ms. Furtado's perspective. The challenge I have, and maybe my alignment and my understanding of that perspective is, well, it's probably different. After many years in senior management and projects, I can understand maintenance, like we talked today, right? I appreciate you visiting the caucus, the director of administration and the county executive coming to talk to our caucus. Very much appreciate that. I can understand maintenance and custodial staff. They're kind of like on their own when you think about it. And then projects or facilities projects, capital projects, I see as a standalone feature, not necessarily connected to the director of administration. I would rather see that either connected to finance or connected directly to the county executive, because I see it as a bigger role than how you explained it to our caucus. I mean, I thought mostly from your explanation, our caucus, it was really just a no, never mind job. It could just be handled very simply. That's how I heard it. I may not heard it correctly. That's just how I heard it. I would like to see the facilities project be separate and distinct from the director of administration and either be tied to finance or tied to the executive director. That's my take on this.
Comments? Seeing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay. I need a roll call.
Yeah, we're going to need a roll call for that.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Vantage Theorenot,
Yes.
Wiggs,
Yes.
Wilson,
No.
Arez,
Yes.
Cagle,
No.
Carter,
No.
Esri,
Yes.
Farney,
Yes.
Fava,
Yes.
Portado, Hanauer Friedman, oh, I'm sorry, Lakshin,
Yes.
Pugh,
No.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Rogers,
No.
Sexton,
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Ayes have it. Motion passes. I have no other business. I have no chair's report. Designation of items to be placed on consent agenda are A1, A, B, C, D, C, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you for that extended PPA section. Ms. Hanauer Friedman is ill today, so finance will be chaired by Vice Chair Farney.
Thank you, Chair Locke. In your packet, you have the monthly general corporate budget amendment report from December 2025. That is unchanged. We didn't make any amendments to the general corporate fund last month. First budget amendment up is Budget Amendment BUA 2026/1/13, Fund 2500 County Grant Fund, Department 075 General County, increased appropriations $74,377.88, increased revenue $74,377.88. The reason is the appropriation of the Firearms Safe Storage Strategies grant funding for FY 2026. Could I have a motion? Mr. Thorsland and Ms. Lokshin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Budget Amendment BUA 2026/1/14, Fund 2500 County Grant Fund, Department 031 Circuit Court and 052 Court Services, increased appropriations $200,000, increased revenue $200,000, and the reason, appropriation of the Adult Redeploy Illinois Grant Funds for FY 2026. Could I have a motion? Beth, and a second, Ed. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Budget Amendment BUA 2026/1/15, Fund 2500 County Grant Fund, Department 036 Public Defender, increased appropriations $25,000, increased revenue $25,000. Reason, appropriation of expert witness support grant funds. Could I have a motion? Ms. Carter, and second, Mr. Esri. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Budget Amendment BUA 2026/1/16, Fund 2679 Child Advocacy Center, Department 179 Child Advocacy Center, increased appropriations $37,500, increased revenue $37,500. Reason, appropriation of grant funds from the United Way. Could I have a motion, please? Ms. Locke, and second by Ms. Carter. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Budget Amendment BUA 2026/1/19, Fund 2679 Child Advocacy Center, Department 179 Child Advocacy Center, increased appropriations $3,500, increased revenue $3,500, appropriation of grant funds from the Community Foundation of East Central Illinois. Could I have a motion, please? Beth, and a second, John Cagle. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. And our final budget amendment, BUA, Budget Amendment BUA 2026/1/18, Fund 2634, Public Defender Grant Fund, Department 036, Public Defender, increased appropriation $14,471.85, increased revenue $14,471.85. Reason, appropriation of remaining funds from the AOIC grant. Denise has made the motion and Eric has seconded it. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. The auditor's monthly reports through June 2025 are available on his webpage. The treasurer's monthly reports through December of 2025 are available on his webpage.
Comment.
Yes, Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
Thank you. Just an observation. And then the public is missing this, who's ever watching. And I hope 100,000 are watching. I noticed the auditor's report is up to date through June. And what month are we? It's January 26th, I think. I imagine he's got a lot of work on his plate, but it would be nice if he could get his reports done on time. Thank you.
All right, moving on to Part D, County Executive. The available budget report is in your packet. That is the report that we've started including in the monthly packet. That is as of Friday. It shows you each department, what they have spent, what they have available for FY 2025. So if you have questions about that, Ms. Locke.
I actually want to note that it's December 2025 info. Remember, we discussed if they would have given us January, it would have shown that nobody's spending anything. So we have a complete year for December, and next month we'll start getting the one that is effective as of the Friday before.
Anyone else on that? Okay, and then our next item, the FY 2024 audit update. There's 2 memos in there, one from Travis and one from Brandy, updating you on where we stand on the audit. Under other business, want to remind everyone we have a study session on January 27th, 2026. That's at 6 p.m., and that is to discuss budgetary issues. We don't have a chair's report, and items for the consent agenda are A, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Mr. Farney, I like Ms. Hannah Friedman a little bit more than you, but you did that in 5 minutes.
Do you have an update of the audit?
So the audit update is in your packet. I'm going to let it stand on its own. I don't want to speak for other people.
Those that are at home watching, can you give us a brief update, please?
Sure. I think the best thing for me to do is just read the memo because not being the person there. At the May 13th Committee of the Whole meeting, the County Board directed the County Executive's Office to take the lead on the FY 2024 audit. Since that time, the County Executive's Office has been in communication with Clifton Larson Allen to establish a new timeline, hire temporary staff and consultants that have started working on items needed to proceed through the audit process. Staff has spent the past several months fixing issues for FY 2024 based on tie-outs, which has delayed the trial balance. There has been a large number of items that have needed reviewed, researched, and entered into Munis because the initial entries were done incorrect or not at all. Each time entries are made to fix these issues, it affects later entries, which then need to be reviewed again and potentially updated and so on. Some of these issues require other departments to research what was supposed to be done in 2024 over a year after the fact. One example is the Executive's Office, the Treasurer's Office, and the bank have spent a significant amount of time looking for a large bank transfer that was not booked into Munis. While this is being researched, it looks like in FY 2024 it was transferred into, and then in 2025 it was transferred out of a now closed account. Since the account was closed before the current treasurer started, no one at the county has access to it, so the bank is looking through their archives to get the county information on the account. Staff have been in contact with Clifton Larson Allen throughout the process. There's a monthly meeting between CLA, the Executive's Office, the Treasurer's Office, and RPC. In addition, the Executive Office has regular phone calls and email discussions with CLA. Due to how far behind everything in FY 2024 was when the Executive's Office started working on the FY 2024 audit this summer, the FY 2024 audit did not get completed last calendar year. This has always been an unfortunate possibility that has been communicated to the board from the beginning. Once the FY 2024 audit is complete, staff will switch focus to the FY 25 audit. Work for that audit is already severely behind due to the FY 2024 issues. And then the second memo says, at the request of the Finance Committee, the following summarizes the primary challenges encountered during the FY 2024 audit process. The most significant challenge was the absence of completed reconciliations and tie-outs. Without these, there was a substantial risk that the FY 2024 Revenues and expenditures had not been fully or accurately recorded in Munis prior to year-end close. As reconciliations and tie-outs were performed, staff identified numerous journal entries that were either incorrect or missing entirely. Correcting these entries frequently caused other accounts to fall out of balance, requiring additional research and further adjustments. While these issues have been noted previously, the overall scope and volume may not have been fully understood. Bank reconciliations. Most FY 2024 bank reconciliations had not been started. Approximately 30 non-collector bank accounts require monthly reconciliation. Balance sheet tie-outs. Only a limited number of accounts had been completed, and only for the first few months of FY 24. Each fund contains approximately 40 to 50 balance sheet objects requiring reconciliation, and there are more than 50 funds in total. Even funds or objects with minimal activity require review and documentation. In addition, several transactions that are typically recorded on a monthly basis throughout the year were not entered into Munis until after FY 2024 had already been closed.
Thank you.
Mr. Pugh.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a question. I don't think you have the answer for it. You can come back to us. That'd be great. We hired 2 outside consulting firms to really help us move this along and stuff. The numbers I'm looking at is we gave Jill up to 600 hours. She's only used 47. We give Gardner up to 300. They've only used 89. So why aren't these people being more utilized, getting this done faster? What's going on? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And that was through the end of November. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going on there.
Okay.
We have the money. We're going to pay them. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't answer that for you right now. So I'll try to find out.
Ms. Carter, I'm sorry I had jumped over. I didn't see you over there, so when he gave me the designation of items, my apologies for talking over you. I didn't know. All right, moving on. Justice and Social Services, Chair Rogers.
The monthly reports for probation and court services for November 2025 can be found on the website. The public offenders monthly report for December 2025 can also be found on the website. And the Emergency Management Agency report of December 2025 can be found on the website. Next, I have the sheriff is requesting the Safety Assessment Management and Mitigation Team Intergovernment Agreement. Can I get a motion? So moved. Sorry, I'm so tired. Barish, Theranak, and then Thornton. Sorry. Any discussions? We have people from the sheriff's office here. Oh. Eric was my second. Sorry. Go ahead.
So in the documentation here for that, there's a part here that talks about person of concern, which is highlighted as an individual who has made a concerning communication and has been identified through triage as on the pathway to targeted violence. The person of concern is the subject of the SAM triage assessment, final assessment, and management plan. My question to that is, what is a SAM triage and management plan? Because it's not specified directly in any of these definitions, but also if a citizen has not acted on their concerning communication, how would those types of actions affect them in public, for example, if the communication did not amount to anything?
Hi, so my name is Matt Weldon. I'm a detective with the Champaign County Sheriff's Office. There's a lot of parts to that question, so if I miss part of it, please bring it back up. So I'm going to try to address all of it. First off, the threat assessment and management, the actual triage it's what it sounds like. It's a triage to even determine if it's worth looking at or not, as far as any tips or anything we might receive through our system. As you can imagine, a lot of the tips that would be received are mundane in nature, like neighbor disputes or things that are not really substantiated at all or have no basis in reality. Some of the things, though, will make it through the triage process and into the assessment phase. So the assessment is typically done, I'm going to be sorry here, there's a lot of acronyms in the behavioral threat world. They're called SPJs. I think it's structured professional judgment systems. There are numerous SPJs that are out there done by different organizations, different government agencies, Waiver 21, TRAP 18, acronyms for days. Each of these are designed to basically complete a threat assessment for their specific roles. So some of these are for government offices, some of them are for schools, educational areas, some of them are for the corporate world. Not all of them are applicable for every single situation. So as far as why it's not in writing, as far as what we are using currently for assessment, it's because we haven't decided. There are numerous different assessment SPJs out there. And most of them have to be paid for, which would be done through the city of Champaign. But we are still in the process of deciding which SPJs we'd like to use, as well as which ones are applicable, or whether we want to create our own as far as what kind of assessment plan works, because they're not really one size fits all. As far as your questions, as far as how a person of concern would be, how this would affect them, in general, it won't. Most of the information that we receive is going to be confidential unless it ever reaches a point where it becomes criminal in nature, in which case it'd be handled just like any other police matter.
Thank you. I think that answered it.
Thanks. So I've actually at DRI, I've worked with this unit before. I want to kind of get to what you're saying with, or asking about with triaging. So for us, and I'm not going to speak in specifics because it's confidential and, mediation related, but we got a referral. They would like our services. They thought that mediation would be a good option, right? Rather than going through, additional police calls over and over again. For triaging, it was a process of bouncing communications that I was receiving from this person and seeing if it was really a concern, right? Do I need to be concerned for my safety right now? So to me, it was not only just triaging between other officers and having other sets of eyes, but also being able to refer out to other resources. So for example, Cunningham Township, that's at least how it worked for me.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's on. That's good. So the triage step is a very sort of early step. The assessment is usually when we get to that point where we start maybe seeking out different collaborations. So we have worked with the Carl Psychiatric as well as the State's Attorney's Office. We've mediated, we've worked with mediation companies, and that's the point where we typically start seeking out those other forms.
Samantha. Oh, sorry, John. Okay.
Thank you. I've received about maybe 4 videos within the last 6 months pertaining to the Sheriff's Department and Champaign Police Department. I'm trying to figure out, what I'm seeing is a lot of aggressiveness coming from the police in our community. And it really saddens me. I'm trying to see how this will benefit our community, what you guys are doing. How is this going to be beneficial to community members?
So that's a good question. So a lot of the whole goal of this is to stop and interrupt the process of anybody who might be on a pathway to violence. And that could be anywhere. That could be in a school, that could be in a business. If, somebody has an office somewhere and they have an employee that's starting to have some concerning behaviors, that kind of thing. So just general safety of our community members, of things that might not necessarily meet a police or criminal threshold right away, but are things that are concerning enough that people believe that somebody should know. Currently, there is no avenue for those people with those kinds of concerns. People will make police reports, but generally, unless it reaches a police, like a criminal threshold or a threshold where somebody's an imminent danger to themselves or others, typically there's not a whole lot that is being done. There are some social work programs that are out there, but they're far and few between. Most of the other behavioral threat assessment teams that are in existence right now are internal to whatever agency or whatever department that runs that. So, for example, University of Illinois has their own threat assessment team that only handles U of I faculty, staff, and students. Other government agencies will have their own that will handle only those government buildings, for example, or schools. There is nothing for the rest of the community, and as far as I'm aware, SAM is the first threat assessment team of its kind that is generally for the community in the state. There are other states that are a little bit more ahead of the curve on this and that are leading teams like this, and we are actually taking a lot of cues from them, trying to learn from what they're doing, but this is kind of on the cutting edge of there aren't a whole lot of precedents to follow with this. But I personally believe that it's necessary given the climate and everything as far as, I mean, you guys can use your imagination, but I mean, just the dangers and stuff to the community in general.
Just a quick follow-up question. So are you basically, you're relying on the community to be in contact with you and this team to kind of give you the up and up of what's going on, you know, in the community? Is that how that works? Or?
Correct. So there is it's Champaign PD is the agency that is sort of leading this. The way it would work is there is a link on their website, which we would hopefully like to add to ours as well, that community members can go to create a report, essentially, as far as what their concerns are, the details of that. There's a lot there. There's also a hotline that they can call to provide us with information.
Okay, thank you.
JJ?
The detective answered my question as to why the U of I is not part of this.
Any further discussion? Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. The way I'm reading this and what I'm hearing what you're saying, as far as, is this unique to the state of Illinois and Champaign County is the first adopter of this program? That's question one.
No, so it's not unique to this state. The behavioral threat assessment model has actually started kind of at the federal level. I believe it's actually started by the Department of Homeland Security, is who initially started the first behavioral threat programs. And then it became more widespread. So there are other states, I can't name them off the top of my head, but other states that are running programs similar to what SAM Team hopes to be. But currently, all the threat assessment teams that are in the state of Illinois are only for schools or other government agencies, not for the general community.
And then the follow-up question then, so that means that answers the question. We have 102 counties. It's the only county that's attempting this right now.
Correct.
And then apparently right now the current leader is the Champaign Police Department. And this is with the county sheriff, Urbana and Champaign, but what about some of the other villages like St. Joe or Mahomet or Savoy? Are they included in this too, or is that something to be added later?
That is something we would like to add later. We're actually actively trying to add members to the program now. Parkland recently joined us, and I've voiced that I would like the smaller agencies or smaller villages to join us as well. I know there's also talks of it doesn't necessarily have to be limited to the county, whereas if other agencies or other counties outside of us ever wanted to join, that could be something to be discussed later. But for now, there's only the core agencies involved.
And just to answer part of that, Savoy and St. Joe are under the sheriff's office, so they would be included. We are their police department.
Thank you. And then last question. What are the jurisdictional boundaries of this program?
So currently it would be within the county of Champaign, just based off the agencies that are involved. Like I said, we are open to expanding if other agencies outside would ever like to join. But so far that hasn't happened just because we're in the infancy of the program.
I guess my caution then is that answer subsumes that the jurisdictional boundaries can be unlimited. But you're probably not thinking that, but that's where I'm going with this. So there's a jurisdictional boundary, I would assume, and then if something's outside that jurisdiction, it's not applicable, or how does that work?
So I guess just trying to seek clarification from you. Are you just asking whether we would ever take any assessments from outside of the county?
Or just a non-cooperating, non-adjoining, non-affiliated IGA village. So it's like, let's say Muhammad, I suppose, would be standalone. What are your, maybe I probably have taken this beyond where I need to take it. It was just a couple comments, sorry.
Well, I can say in general that the police departments within our county, we all have a very good relationship with each other as far as working together. I don't foresee that anybody ever would become uncooperative as far as working with us. But as far as other agencies or anybody working with them, it would be at their request. We wouldn't be necessarily pursuing them or pursuing cases in their jurisdictions without them asking us first.
Okay.
Stephanie?
How, I actually kind of want to get back to JJ's question he didn't ask. Given that the university has its own separate structure, how would you integrate, right? Because people move across those boundaries, right?
Yes, so U of I does have their own threat assessment team. We have worked closely with them in the past. They're not closed off from us. We've hosted joint trainings together. We've hosted joint meetings. We share resources sometimes as far as, what kind of SPJs do we like to use, that kind of thing. I don't foresee it being completely off the table as far as ever integrating in with the U of I in the future, but U of I is its whole own entity, and trying to make that happen from the very beginning, I don't think is feasible.
Anyone else want just further discussion? Sorry, I'm so sleepy. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. I don't have any other business or chair's report. Items to be placed on the consent agenda are B1. None. Sorry. Okay, I'm done. Back to you, Chair Locke.
All right. It's okay. It's getting to be late. All right. One last item of business. Approval of closed session minutes from December 9th, 2025. I will remind you, once we get a motion and a second, if we discuss this, we have to go into closed session. Is there a motion? Mr. Essery, second, Ms. Vanich-Theorenot. Discussion? There is none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I call this meeting adjourned at 8:21 p.m.